Hey everyone, welcome to another video tutorial for a TvT build order. It's going to be a double Raven off of one base. This is a build that Innovation uses quite a lot, and that is where I got it from, Innovation. He likes Ravens, he likes Cyclones, and he doesn't mind that it starts off of one base because he follows it up really quickly with the third CC. So let's get into it. The supply depot. Gas. Barracks. A second refinery. Did an orbital and a reaper. A factory. Build your supply depot. Build a second reaper. Get a hellion and a starport. Then a supply depot. From here on out, just make sure not to get supply blocked. Get tech lab on your barracks. A second hellion. Swap the starport with the barracks. That is a tech lab. Get a reactor on the barracks and start a cyclone. Start a Raven. Stop building SCVs so you can afford a command center. Set that on the natural location. Get a second cyclone. Get a Viking. Tech lab on the factory. You should be building Marines from your reactor barracks already. Get another Raven. You can start SCV production again. Load your second orbital at the natural and transfer SCVs, so you're perfectly saturated in the main base. Get a third CC around 5 minutes. Start your tank production. Swap the barracks with the starport. Start stim. Get 2 gases, your natural. Produce 2 vikings. And around 5:30, you're going to send out your units in an attack. Be very careful with this, though. If they're prepared for it and meet you halfway, you could be in trouble. You're going to want to bring your ravens and your viking with it as well. That's the real power of the attack, is having the auto turrets as well. Around 6 minutes, get 2 barracks and 2 engineering bays. Start your third orbital as well. And then just continue macroing. Let's go on to the builder discussion. The strengths of this build, it deals with Reaper cheese pretty well because it's a 1 base opener with 2 Reapers. If you see that it is a proxy Reaper, then continue investing into Reapers until you can actually secure your Cyclone. It provides early game pressure plus scouting with the Reapers and Hellions and even the Cyclones. Can be sent out early game. Follows up into a good macro game with a 3rd CC. Ravens can deal with harassment, defend pushes, deal harassment, and help crack tank lines because they're kind of the most important unit you got. For weaknesses, a perfect 1 racks expand defense will put you in a difficult position, especially if they continue to macro as well with their own fairly quick 3rd CC. Then you will just be behind on the economy. However, you should be able to do something to bridge that gap, whether it's the turrets from the ravens or the tank push that you do. Something should help even that out. Marine count will be low. This is kind of the biggest drawback in my opinion about this build, is that for a very long time you won't have that fodder that protects the very important units like your ravens, vikings, and tanks. And that could be especially a weakness against someone who is going for like a lot of drops and a lot of harassment and really fast stim. You just have to have good tank positioning, basically. Know where your opponent's going. There will be a period of time where your 3rd CC versus a later command center, so if they're 2 base all inning or just holding off on it, your opponent will require smart, perfect defense. So again, this has to do with lack of marine count and just depending on a few but very important units like tanks. So it might seem like a good idea to put 1 tank in the main base, 1 tank in the natural, and then everything else at your 3rd base as you try and defend that, but that sometimes will backfire, so you really just got to be on top of your scouting and have your army in the perfect position, and hopefully your Vikings can deal with whatever drops they have in mind. For the tips of this build, without an SCV scout, waiting for an opponent's Reaper with your own can be a very safe play. In fact, if you are new to the game or aren't very confident in your micro, I would heavily suggest just leaving the Reaper on the high ground until you at least have the 2nd Reaper. And even then, whenever you get into a Reaper scuffle, just be the first one to back off no matter what. Don't try and be innovation. If you suspect a proxy, swapping Hellions for Cyclones is actually a safer move. You can still continue with the Hellions actually, as most Reaper proxies aren't as difficult as they once were to defeat, but the Cyclone is really the safest play. Ravens can be used for harassment, defense, and busting siege tank lines. Just remember, be very careful with them. If you lose them to a single Viking, then that's pretty bad. With the faster 3rd CC, as I mentioned before, there's that period of time where your opponent has faster stim or combat shields or both, and a better army. Play defensive and smart. And your first attack is meant to get into an abusive position. If you're ever caught in the middle of the map and they have just a few more units than you, then that concave is really going to be brutal. If your ravens aren't with you either, like they get a little behind, a little ahead, then you're going to be missing some very important auto turrets. So just be careful when you actually do that move out. And of course, if you like this content, then consider following me on this YouTube channel, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, supporting my Patreon, whatever. And also, go ahead and check out my other videos. Thanks for watching.